How strong can a human be against nature? But what happens when nature fights back? The story I'm about to tell will make you question the very meaning of survival. What would you do if you were trapped, if you had no escape, if your only way out was to make an impossible decision? This is the story of a man who faced death for 127 hours and what he had to do to survive. April 2003. A young man set out for a weekend adventure in the Utah desert. He cycled for miles across the vast open landscape, carrying only a few essentials: a pocket knife, a rope, a bottle of water, and some snacks. He loved being alone in nature. He craved the thrill of adventure, but he made one critical mistake. He didn't tell anyone where he was going, and that mistake would change everything. Sometimes the most dangerous moments in life happen in an instant, and just like that, everything changed. He found himself trapped 10 meters below, but worse than the fall, his right arm was crushed beneath a massive boulder. The feeling of freedom was gone in an instant. At first, he panicked. He tried to move his arm, pushing, pulling, struggling with all his strength. But the rock was over 360 kilograms. It didn't move, not even a millimeter. Just moments ago, he had been free, and now he was trapped in the heart of the canyon, completely alone. His only hope was that someone would find him, but he had told no one where he was going. And then the cold came. Desert days are hot, but desert nights are freezing. The temperature dropped below zero. The wind cut through his thin clothes like a blade. He curled up, desperately trying to keep warm. By the second day, dehydration had begun. His water was running out. By the third day, it was completely gone. Hunger was painful, but thirst was unbearable. The man closes his eyes, resting his head against the rock. Then he realizes there's only one way to stay alive. He had to drink his own urine. He hesitates, but he knows there is no other choice. He grimaces, then takes a sip. To survive, he had to make decisions that no one should ever have to make. Day 5. His face is sunken. His lips are cracked. He stares at his lifeless arm, realizing it's completely numb. By the 5th day, he realized something. His arm was completely dead. There was no blood flow, no feeling. And then the terrible realization hit him. There was only one way out. He had to cut off his own arm. He pulls out his pocket knife, but as he presses it against his skin, he stops. He can't cut through the bone. The knife wasn't strong enough. He couldn't cut through bone, but he could break it. He closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and slams his arm against the rock. Crack! A loud snap echoes through the canyon. He lets out a blood-curdling scream. He broke his own bones, and then he began cutting. His face twists in agony. Sweat drips down his forehead. The sound of the blade scraping against flesh fills the air. His breathing becomes ragged. For over an hour, he kept cutting, tearing, pulling, until finally he was free. The man collapses on the ground, gasping. His arm is gone. He tears fabric from his shirt and ties it tightly around the wound. Then he stands. He had lost his arm, but he had won his life. But he wasn't safe yet. He was still in the middle of the desert, bleeding, exhausted, and weak. He starts walking. Step by step, he pushes forward. His breath is heavy. The sun burns his skin. Then, in the distance, he sees people. And finally, help arrived. How far would you go to survive? This man made the ultimate sacrifice, but he lived. So, if you were in his place, what would you do? That man still climbs mountains today.